At that time, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin emerging on the scene. He is like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He won the King of the Ring at 1996. But like I said, at SummerSlam, he's wrestling on the pre-show. It was kind of like they had to pretty much put him on ice and wait for WrestleMania when he wrestles against Brett, which was kind of a throwaway match on the card to make sure that they're on there. Austin didn't even know. There was like no meeting to sit down and say like, hey, you're going to wrestle Brett. Austin is at home, just has Raw on, and all of a sudden he hears, hey, Brett versus Austin, submission match, WrestleMania, it's booked, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And he's like, I don't even have a finisher. What the hell am I going to do? But they end up putting together a great match. It's looked at as most people, if it's not one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, a lot of people think of it as one of the best wrestling matches. Austin is a guy that they got lucky on. Stunning Steve Austin had a really good career in WCW. He sort of got pushed to the side during that Hulk Hogan era. And he had some bad feelers. He wasn't really mixing with Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff called him one day to try to find out why he wasn't at center stage, why he didn't go to work. And his wife at the time picks up the phone, says, Steve, Eric's on the phone, and loud enough for Eric to hear it on the other side. Steve tells Eric, tell him I'm not here. And Eric's like, if you don't want to be here, if you don't want to talk to me, if you don't want to show up to work, we'll let you go. And they release him. The bad thing for Steve Austin, he was going through having a bad neck at the time. He doesn't really know what he's going to do. He's got no money rolling in for him and his family. Paul Heyman, who had seen him in WCW, I think he even managed him. I think Stunning Steve Austin was in the Dangerous Alliance, if I'm right. Knows Austin can work. Calls him up, trying to get him to go. And he's like, I got this bad neck. And he's like, that's fine. You just do promos. You've heard this 1,000 times. Stone Cold Steve Austin has told this story on the podcast. He goes there. Heyman says that he knew it was a short-term plan. He knew that ECW was a training ground that WCW and WWF just stole from all the time. So they got as much as they could out of him in this short period. Austin comes in because of Triple H's mistake. Well, not really his mistake, but because Triple H is the only one they can punish, he ends up winning King of the Ring. In his first match, he wrestles against Mark Mero. Mero kicks him in the lip. He busts his lip open. He has to rush to the hospital. He gets 16 stitches. He comes back. He's going to wrestle Jake the Snake Roberts as he's about to go out there. Doc Hendricks, why do I always call him that? Tells him, hey, just so you know, you're wrestling against Jake. Jake just delivered a religious promo on you. And that's where Austin goes, oh, religious promo? All right. He thinks of the guy at the football game with the John 3:16 sign, comes up with Austin 3:16, gets that line off, and he had, picked up a little thing to end the interview on so it would end well. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. All of a sudden, Stone Cold Steve Austin, although he's not pushed because they don't really have storylines for him right out of the gate, everybody's an Austin fan. Austin 3:16 shirts become one of the biggest things that there is in wrestling. It's battling against the NWO, against the hottest t-shirt there is out there in wrestling, and they're off to the races.